Good evening, everyone. This is the Coaches and Coxswains meeting for the Eastern Sprints Regatta held on Lake Quinsigamond on May 19th. My name is Thad Gamula, and I will be taking you through this information tonight. So let's get started. First off, I would like to introduce you to the Commissioner of the Intercollegiate Rowing Association, who would like to say a few words, Gary Caldwell. Gary?
Thank you, Thad. And I will try and be as brief as possible. First of all, to all the coaches and coxswains on the call, thank you for being here. We'll try and take as little of your time as we possibly can. I want to thank Howard, who will be speaking in a moment, Thad and Patrick. Howard is the Director of Officiating for the IRA and will also be the chief referee this weekend. Patrick Diggins, a longtime assistant director of the regatta, is now the director of the regatta. He's also assistant commissioner in charge of all of our Worcester regattas, our series of 4 regattas every year. And Thad is one of our regatta directors, the assistant regatta director this weekend. All 3 of them come from a long line of people who've been volunteering out of the Worcester area going back to the 1950s. My first Eastern Sprints as a freshman at Yale was 1969. And as much as some things change, no lane lines back then, there are constants. And one of those constants is a really, really dedicated group of volunteers and local people who make the regatta go. So when you see people walking around in yellow shirts that say staff on the back, if you have a couple of minutes after your races or between your races, tell them thanks, because without them, this regatta doesn't go off. First item, this regatta is BYOB. Bring your own bow marker. We'll have a limited supply of lane 0 bow markers if they're needed later in the day, but you should plan, if you're using bow marker 1 through 6, to begin your own. Coxswain weigh-in. This is really important. We want to make this as painless and as easy as possible. Appropriate weigh-in attire is a unisuit and socks, or a uniform shirt, shorts, and socks. Tights are not okay, or anything else like that. Tights, sweatpants, combat boots, socks, unisuit, shirt, shorts. Okay. If you are carrying weight, especially 10 pounds or more, it will help everybody keep the line moving quicker, and you will not have to spend as much time in line if you bring your own weight. And it also takes a lot less room than sand. Everybody, be on time. At some point here, Howard will probably tell you what regatta time is, but we're all on the same time anyway. But if your iPhone or your other kind of phone is off a little bit, Howard will tell you what the correct time is. We ran 40 races Sunday, this previous Sunday, on time with no false starts and no grandstanding because everyone cooperated. We're looking at minimal wind this weekend on Sunday, and the rest of the forecast keeps improving. So I expect it should be fairly easy for you to get on your stake boats, get ready, and leave on time. Races will be available for viewing on the big screen TV at the site. And also, if you have parents or grandparents or friends who want to watch, you can find them on overnight without the I, OVERNGHT.com. And the last thing is the deadly waiver comment. If you haven't filled out your waivers yet, please do so. And I'll turn it back over to Thad. Look forward to seeing you all this weekend. Best of luck.
Thank you, Gary. Also with us tonight, as Gary mentioned, is our chief referee, Howard Meisner, who will be going over the racing procedure in the U.S. rowing portion later on in the presentation, and the regatta director, Patrick Diggins. Okay, first some housekeeping. This is a new way of taking attendance this year. So please, if you would text the number 22333, your school code, to log attendance this year. So for example, if you represent Brown University, you would text the number 67195 to that 22333 number to show attendance. Text messaging rates may apply. If you are calling from a phone to this meeting and feel you cannot adequately do this, please just send me an email at thadgamula@qra.org to say you were here. I will generate an attendance after the meeting. From the responses, please be aware you can enter as many responses as you want, but it's only going to register your last response given. And while we sit here and wait for the responses to roll in, as I see they're rolling in, I would like to also point out that if at any time you have a question, please submit by the question and answer feature. This can be found at the bottom right of your screen. You click on it's a little icon. It looks like a square, a triangle, and a circle. And once you click that, it will show up what you can see as the inset here. Click the Q&A button and submit your question. They will be addressed most likely at the very end of the presentation. But please, as you can think of them, please just enter your questions here, as comments and raised hands will not be addressed. That's a good question. So the number you text is, you would text to the number 22333, your school code. So once again, we'll pick another school, Holy Cross. If you represent Holy Cross in your text message body would be the number 67209 to that 22333 number. All right. Okay, let's get started. So practice. Practice on the course is Friday, May 17th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Course will close to launching at 2:15 p.m. Practice is also on Saturday, May 18th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the course will close to launching at 5:15 p.m. So basically what we ask of you is keep an eye on the time. If you get to the finish line on Saturday and it's 5:45, please don't go around again. Just be aware of the time. As for the traffic pattern, most of you this weekend will be launching out of Regatta Point, which you can see on this picture to the left of the picture, and that's on the Worcester Shore. All crews launching from Regatta Point must head directly north to the start. Those of you who are launching from the DRC, which is towards the starting line, must go south on the practice day outside of the course and proceed past the finish before heading north to the start to travel with the crews launching from Regatta Point. And just to be very clear, from DRC, that's practice days only, that you will go all the way to the finish line and around the finish line on your way to the start from the DRC. Going back to everybody going up to the start, the lanes on our course are numbered 0 through 6. 0 is the closest to the Worcester Shore, so if you're launching from Regatta Point, lane 0 will be closest. Lane 6 is nearest to the Shrewsbury Shore. So once again, if you're launching from the DRC on the other side of the lake, you will be closest to lane 6. Traffic going to the start may use lanes 0 or 1. You also have the option to go to the start outside of the course if you choose. At no point when traveling to the start, both on practice days and race days, should there be pressure. No practicing starts, no hard pieces. Once again, traveling to the start, no pressure. Also, at no point should any crew be in lane 2. That is our dead lane. So once again, lane 2 is our third fully buoyed lane from that Worcester Shore. We will have marshals and large wakeless launches in it. You can't miss it. Once again, it's going to go 0, 1, 2. So the third fully buoyed lane. Keep that in your mind. Do not enter it. Do not cross it. Do not practice in it. There will be large boats in it. Please do not follow the shore on your way to the start. If you stick directly to the shore, there are several docks north of the 1,500 meter mark that stick out a little bit. They're easy to miss, easy to go around. But please, by all means, just don't hug the shore on your way up to the start. The other reason we say this is also on this map closer to the start, there's a little yellow shape that is the pump house, which is very shallow. We have 3 large red buoys posted in front of it. So please just stay away. That area has been known to take a skeg or two. Once everybody traveling north to the start gets past the 290 bridge, which is the large structure at the very top of the course at the start line, you will turn directly and go right into your desired practice lane. We're not going to go out into the cove and circle around. Please immediately go right to your desired practice lane. Lanes 3 and 4 are going to be for pieces less than 1,000 meters, and lanes 5 and 6 for greater than 1,000 meters. Once again, you must go all the way down the course on the practice days and through the finish line. At no point should you cross the course. If you cross the course, it would make you go across lane 2, which is a dead lane, which could lead to a warning from U.S. Rowing, as Howard will go through later on. Once again, when you go past the finish line, you can see at the bottom left, there's a do not cross Route 9 yellow words. That is a large blue arch bridge right after the finish line. You can't miss it. Please do not go through there. It's not only for your safety. We have this area in our permit and in our area for EPOs and police boats present. South of that bridge is not closed to the boating public. So please do not go beyond that Route 9 bridge on practice day or on race day. Please stay north of it. And then once you go past the finish and circulate back into the pattern, and you've decided you're done, you just launch at the same docks. You land at the same docks that you launch from. It's very simple. Once again, practice. The course closes for practice at 3 o'clock on Friday and 6 o'clock on Saturday. So just keep your eye on the time. Race day traffic. Okay, Sunday. If you are launching from Regatta Point, it's the same pretty much as the practice day. You're going to immediately launch and turn north up the course. The one big difference is you should never be in a buoyed lane on race day except for when racing. So as opposed to a practice day where you could go up lane 0 or 1, on race day, you stay outside of the buoy lane. Same deal. Stay away from the shoreline as best you can. At the pinch point, you can see on the image between 1,500 meters and 1,000 meters, it gets a little tight. It's plenty of room. Just be aware. And you will continue to head up the course. Once again, also watching out for the shallow area marked on the map. Once again, I repeat, no pressure. Okay, no pressure going to the start. There are, like I said, tight locations along the course. They are all buoyed, but just be aware, no pressure. And then if launching from the DRC, you have two options. You can either go directly across the course to the Worcester shore or travel south outside of the course along the Shrewsbury shore. The difference here is do not go past the 1,500 meter mark before turning and going across to the Worcester shore to travel north with everybody else. Once again, do not go past the 1,500 meter mark if you are warming up from the DRC traveling south. And then it goes without saying, be aware of races on the course. Do not cross in front of a race. If a race is remotely close, wait for it to pass you and then cross the course. All crews will eventually end up heading north under the 290 bridge and go through the small span at the Worcester side, which is this closer up diagram. So you can see the dotted blue line going under the 290 bridge. There's going to be another picture that's going to pop up. You're going to see the smaller span. In the starting area, there are 3 large white buoys. The traffic pattern is clockwise around these buoys. Okay, there's enough space up here to practice your starts, but please be well aware of other crews in the area. Do not go through the white buoys and keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're not about to practice your start aimed directly at another crew. We also ask that you do not go to the back of the cove. You can see the red shaded area. Fishermen, locals are back there, and we don't want you to get out of earshot of the officials for when they call you to the starting line or when the marshal up there is looking for you. So please stay out of that far back cove. I will repeat, there are no buoys that cross that line to go to the back cove, but please just be aware. Keep it around the white buoys. You have plenty of space, and you will be able to practice in your lanes. When your race is called and you are invited onto the course, you will proceed through the span on the Shrewsbury side. Once again, I will repeat, do not approach the starting line until you are called to do so. The marshal should have you in numerical order. They will do their best, 0 through 6. You will row past the pier, turn quickly 90 degrees, and row to your lane. Your crew will then turn again and back it closer to your stake boat, or you have the option to do your practice starts. And just alternating the picture here, this is an image from the starting, the cove area in the middle of the 3 white buoys. You can see one of them. You will be entering the start through the full span closer to Worcester Shore between the piers, going clockwise around those buoys. The large span has stake boats under it. That is the span you're going to be racing under. And then all the way to the left between the pier and the shore is your entrance to the start. That's how you're going to go through. You can see you're going to go past the bridge, turn, and then go into your lane, turn again, so you are in your lane. Once again, I can't repeat enough. Don't go through the stake boats. There's plenty of ropes there. We don't want you to get tangled up. Follow the traffic pattern, entrance to the start. Now, to go over the U.S. rowing portions of the regatta, I would like to introduce our chief referee, Howard Meisner. Howard?
Thanks, Thad. Good evening, everybody. I'm Howard Meisner. I am your chief referee for this weekend, and it's great to be back with you in Worcester for this event. Earlier this season, a coach told me that a good CNC meeting is shorter than the amount of time it takes to row the race. So I'm going to try and make sure that I just cover a few points here and keep my part of this shorter than the time it takes to row the race. This is your championship and the single largest qualifier for the IRA championships. The race officials are here to support you and to ensure that this is a safe and fair regatta. A few things to keep in mind for the weekend. Weigh-ins. Weigh-ins will begin at 9:30 a.m. and run until 5:30 p.m. Saturday at Regatta Point. If there is an issue weighing in on Saturday, please contact myself or Gary as soon as possible so that we can talk to you and make alternate arrangements. Gary already talked about this, but remember, you're weighing in wearing your racing uniform only. No additional layers under the uni. You can't show up and step off the bus in jeans and a sweatshirt and expect to weigh in. You weigh in wearing socks and your team uni, or socks, your team shorts, and a team t-shirt. There is no practice scale. Once you step on the scale, your weight is recorded. And if you're carrying dead weight, we'll work with you to make up that dead weight and record it. When you go to launch, you are responsible for your equipment complying with the rules of racing. This includes a firmly fixed bow ball and heel ties that are properly attached at no more than 3 inches. As you pass through the control commission, we will do a visual check of your boat. If there's something that we want to take a deeper look at, we'll ask you to step to the side and have a more detailed look at it. But I expect that since you're all going to be in compliance, we're not going to have to pull anybody off to the side and prevent you from getting on the dock. Once you're on the dock, please follow the directions of the dock master, which side of the dock to launch from, and which dock you're actually using. We are both launching and recovering shells at Regatta Point on the North Beach, and there is limited space on the Regatta Point dock itself, which is next to Regatta Point. There are some racks that might be available on a first come, first served basis. As you come down to the dock, you can definitely have a few additional people to carry oars and clear shoes off the dock, but please, no dogs on the dock. We're trying to keep this safe for everybody. Once you have launched, Thad has gone into great detail about the traffic patterns. I do want to highlight that in the last few years, we have issued warnings during practice for going through the Route 9 bridge and for rowing in lane 2. So don't think that it's not possible to get a warning on a practice day. I also want to highlight that there are no practice starts alongside the course, and all crews in the travel lane must stop as a race approaches and only resume progress after the last crew has passed. This is really critical at the 1K mark, since it is much closer to lane 0 than the other areas as you travel up to the start. Thad has also covered the warm-up area for us. Again, practice starts and warm-ups at racing cadence are permitted in the practice area, but beware of the crews around you. Stay out of the cove, and please respect the docks and the equipment of the lake residents. Stay towards the buoys that are in the middle of the area. If you find yourself being blown or drifting towards the shore, please move so that you're not contacting any of the equipment owned by any of the lake residents. Should there be an issue with your boat in the warm-up area, you'll want to report breakage to the nearest race official and follow their directions. Repairs will be made on the water whenever possible or at the Donahue Rowing Center. That also covered how the crews will leave the warm-up area and head to the start. The marshal will work to get you in order from 0 to 6 and send you single file along the Shrewsbury shore to enter the course. As you enter the course, the starter will attribute your lane. This means that you'll hear them call out your lane number. If the Fairness Committee has changed the seating of the lanes, your new lane will be announced as you enter the course. Remember, the first lane on the Worcester side is 0, not 1. Once you've entered your lane, you can certainly warm up in your lane. If you're doing a warm up in your lane, please stay in your lane. So do the warm up, go out, do a turn, and come right back in your lane. Your crew must be locked onto the starting line and ready to race 2 minutes prior to the start of the race. If you haven't spent a lot of time this season getting onto stake boats and keeping your point on stake boats, I encourage you to try that at practice this week. All of the water bottles, extra layers, etc., are to remain in your boat. You are not allowed to pass anything to the stake boat holders. We will make announcements at 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and 2 minutes to race. You may also hear us make an announcement at 10 minutes, depending on the schedule and the time in between the races. Once the judge at start signals that alignment has been achieved and the starter has confirmed that all crews are safely pointed and the course is clear, the starter will commence with the standard starting procedure as described in the U.S. Rowing Rules of Racing. That is a polled start where we will name each of the crews, say attention, raise the red flag, and then drop the red flag while simultaneously saying go. Crews move on the motion of the flag. If weather or other conditions prevent the use of the normal starting procedure, the starter shall announce to the crews that a quick start will be used. When the starter determines that the race may be safely and fairly started, you'll hear the starter call out quick start, followed by the starting commands, which will be attention, the red flag will go up, and then go, with a simultaneous movement of the flag. Once the announcement of a quick start is made, the starter is in control of the crews. Now, remember, under either of these procedures, hands are not recognized. The starter will not start a race if there is a safety issue or a fairness issue. But if the starter feels that everyone is safe and pointed in their lane fairly, they will start the race. If a crew fails to leave the starting line after the starting commands have been given, the starter will stop the race. If the crew's failure to start is not justified, the starter may give the crew a warning. There are a few conditions where we will stop a race in the first 100 meters or breakage zone of the race. A false start is when a crew has left the starting line before the motion of the starter's flag, or for any action deemed to be unsportsmanlike in nature, and or which gives one or more crews an unfair advantage over other competitors. The crew committing a false start shall be assessed a warning. Collisions between crews in the first 100 meters of the race will also cause us to stop the race. At this race, we have a couple of conditions for breakage or other qualifying stoppage. If you have broken or damaged equipment, if a competitor is thrown out of the boat, if a competitor experiences an over-the-head crab, if equipment is damaged as a result of a crab. Should any of that happen, as a coxswain, stop the boat, raise your hand, and we will stop the race. If a competitor is thrown out of the boat, I'm pretty sure the referee will see it and will stop the race anyway, but we would like you to also stop and raise your hand. Once we get through that first 100 meters, we're going to follow the races with a single referee. There are 7 lanes of the course lined on both sides by floating buoys. At each 500-meter mark and at the finish line, there are large buoy markers off to the side of the course outside lanes 0 and 6. The color scheme of the buoys from start to finish is as follows. From the start to 100 meters, the buoys are red. From 100 meters to 1,750 meters, the buoys are white. And from 1,750 meters to the finish, the buoys become red again. U.S. rowing rules will be followed during the progress of the race. While it is not our intention to wake a crew, it may sometimes be necessary for us to do so to be in the correct position to observe and control the race. After the race, coxswains who are carrying external deadweight may be required to display their weight to the referee at the finish line. After the grand finals, the top 3 crews will be directed by the referee to receive their medals at the Regatta Point Boathouse dock. You'll be called to the dock in reverse order of finish. If you feel that there was a condition during the race that has taken away your best race, you can register an objection on the water after the race directly to the referee. The referee will respond to that objection and make a ruling on the water. If you disagree with the referee, it is your right to appeal the referee's decision and initiate a protest. If you wish to do so, you have to inform the referee on the water, and the referee will make note of that and raise a red flag to indicate that the race is under protest. If you are protesting, you need to seek out myself, the chief referee, at Regatta Point within an hour of landing so that we can address the matter and figure out how we can settle it. If we need to convene the full race committee, we will require a written protest signed by the coach and a $50 fee. Findings and decisions of the race committee are not subject to further appeal. Finally, I know that Thad will mention this, but there is no urinating from the shells. That is a very serious very serious thing, and it will result in exclusion of the crew, and we will be turning that crew over to the police for potential arrest and prosecution. And for those who are interested in regatta time, Verizon tells me it is 8:30 and 33 seconds. Mark, that back to you.
Thank you, Howard. And just to repeat what everything Howard said, if you have any questions and we don't end up answering anything here today, please, by all means, seek out a U.S. rowing official. They're well marked. They have the blue attire that you can see Howard has on currently. And they're very friendly, and they will answer any question you have. Don't be afraid to go up and ask them Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Okay. Once the race has been made official, we ask you to please clear the finish area as quickly as possible. You're going to return to your dock that you had launched from. You can see the multitude of squiggly lines we have on this image. Will be the return path. If you meddle, there will be someone calling your boat over, like Howard said. Just please be aware of the shallow area at the finish tower. You can see it once again here with the yellow shaded area. The last thing you want to do after you win gold is to rip your skeg off or damage your boat. Okay, in the event of an emergency, we have many safety resources on hand at the lake. And to repeat what Howard said, if someone needs help in the boat with a medical emergency, please let it be known. Throw your hand up in the air, get somebody's attention. Don't just wait till you dock. Make it known. There are plenty of resources out there between U.S. rowing referees, fire dive team, EPOs, police. We have a bunch of resources out there. Please let it be known if there's a medical emergency in the boat. In the event of a weather emergency, the same safety resources, once again, U.S. rowing, fire, police, EPOs, will make an announcement. If there is a need to evacuate the course, keep in the back of your mind, everyone from the start to the 1,000-meter mark will go and land at the DRC. From the 1,000-meter mark to the finish, will go to Regatta Point. So in the event of a weather emergency, if we have to clear the lake, that is where you're going to go. And just to wrap up, like Howard said, please no public urination. Porta potties are provided throughout Regatta Point. If caught, it is an automatic exclusion, and you're not invited back in the next year. And like Howard said, we would invite the police over to have a talking to with the crew, which would lead to an arrest. And also, anything brought on the water must come off. No handing things to the stake boat holders. They've been told not to accept anything. So please, whatever you bring on the water, be prepared to take off with you. And just before I get to the question segment, I have been asked to remind everybody that the link for filling out the IRA waiver is available in the packet. There are several teams with individuals who still need to fill out the waiver. If you have any questions regarding the waivers, please reach out to Linda Murray. I believe the packet link, the waiver link is in the packet. So please just reference that. Send a blast out to your teams. Again, make sure everybody's completed that waiver. And once again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Linda. Any questions regarding this meeting, please, once again, submit everything by the question and answer feature. I'll try to stall a little bit just while we let everything potentially roll in. A recording of this meeting will be on the Quinsigamond Rowing Association YouTube page. I will share the link to be posted on Regatta Central as well. By all means, go back, take a look at it. If you need some clarification on anything, it's a good resource. And as I stall and see no questions coming in, I'll give it another minute or two. I don't know if Howard, Gary, Patrick, there's anything you want to add that was missed. If not, I see no questions. So with that, I thank everybody for attending. And And we will see you all this weekend. Looking forward to a great weekend, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good night.